Hey, what's going on, everyone? I'm Ben.
I'm Rob.
Welcome back to the One Piece versus 4K podcast, where we compare the One Piece 4Kids anime to the Funimation dub, and sometimes sub, as well as throw in comparisons to the manga. So we're back today for episode 6. Um, yeah, and we're gonna get into that soon. But before we get into that, what's been going on with you, Rom?
I did the COVID swab. I did the swab test for the COVID testing. I did the swab test recently,
Wow.
and it was more painful than I originally thought it would be. Like they took the test. I was sitting in my car. I basically did it through a drive-through, and I was sitting in my car, and I had my windows rolled down. When they took the test, I mean the registration process, it was pretty clean. Like I drove in, they only let me crack my window down 2 inches to, I guess, like take in whatever information. They didn't like send in a paper, like whatever paper they sent in to my car, I kept. Like it wasn't a back and forth. They just sent it one way. They wrote it on like a whiteboard. They checked with you, make sure all the information that they took from you is like correct, and they put it in their system. So there isn't like anything kind of like there's like at least two screen layers. There's my window on the car, and then they also had like a face shield, and as well as like they wore a mask and I wore a mask. So there's like multiple layers. So there wasn't a possibility of me getting anything from them. So
That's good.
even yeah, and even if I didn't wear a mask, there's still 3 layers because they wore a mask, they had the face shield, and there was my window.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the preference is to wear a face mask. It's probably recommended to wear a face mask. But yeah, even yeah, there were so many layers that like it was very safe. And then the actual swab test, that was the only time where I had my window rolled all the way down. But even then, they wore a lot of protection. Like they wore a face mask, they wore the face shield, they wore some gloves. Like they took out a new cotton swab, and when they shoved it, like man, I've actually had like something somewhat similar. Like
I
um,
mean, you could get that. It's similar for like the flu, but they don't jam it up as high, I guess.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't necessarily for the flu. Like, it was just, I think maybe like a year back or something. I was just waking up each morning with like a stuffy nose, and I went into an ear, nose, throat doctor, and he kind of, I guess he did a swab test because he took this one equipment and he shoved it pretty high up, and
Mhm.
like I guess he was a little more careful with it. I mean, he is an ENT doctor, so he's more of a pro with it to not, I guess,
Yeah,
agitate.
but I think this thing they have to jam up even higher.
Yeah, yeah, possibly. So it was like I had that feeling before, but this one, the swab test that they did for the COVID testing, it was definitely, it felt a lot worse, like a regular cotton swab with like an extended stick. But the thing that the doctor used, it was like it wasn't like that like thick. It was like pretty thin. But I still felt it. But this time with the COVID test, yeah, it, after they took it out, my eyes were watering, and I had like instant like the one with the ENT where they
Yeah.
were kind of like yeah. So with the ENT, ear nose throat doctor, he just used like a small instrument, and he's had years of experience with this. So and it was like much smaller, like in terms of like thickness, like it was much smaller. So it was like it wasn't as painful. Like this was painful because it was much thicker, as they were kind of jamming this thick thing up this like small space. So yeah, I mean this one hurt way more. But it's like I guess I don't know, like they kind of like agitated the sinuses. So it's like it's expected that my eyes would kind of like tear up and like yeah, so it's like I have a runny nose. Not like it's not like a an insane runny nose. It was just like one drop, like one like noticeable drop. Um like that was kind of dropping out of my mouth, dropping out of my nose, and like my eyes only teared up that one time. It wasn't like I wasn't like continuously crying, but yeah, it was just a little agitation. Kind of did that. So
Yeah, so
yeah,
you should find out in maybe like 2 days or so, 2 to 4 days.
yeah, basically, yeah. 2 to 4 days. They said that the range is around like 2 to 4 days. It was kind of weird. Like one of the stop stations. Like actually, the person that I was on the phone with, they said expected in like 4 to 5 days or something. And then at the stop station, they were just like, yeah, expected in like 3 to 5 days. And then at the person who actually did the swap, they're like, oh yeah, you should be able to get the results in like 2 to 3 days or something like that. I was just like, okay, if I can
Dang.
get it this afternoon, that would be great. But yeah, I gotta wait till tomorrow or day after to find out.
Nice.
But yeah, what's going on with you?
Yeah. So earlier this weekend, a couple days ago, I guess it was on Saturday, I picked up a game I had started like about 6 months ago. I only played about 30 minutes, like 6 months ago. But I picked up this game called Cold Fear, and I just beat it. I played about like 8 more hours or so, and I ended up beating it. I had a good time playing it. It's kind of like any of the Resident Evil games. There's, I guess there are zombies in it that you have to kind of shoot. Um, yeah, it was pretty fun. The final boss in the game was the most annoying thing ever. I probably tried that for about an hour and a half and just kept dying over and over and over.
Wait, is it called Cold Fear or is it called Fear?
Cold Fear.
Cold Fear. Okay, okay, okay. I just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
think too many people have even heard about it. But I like my favorite game series is Resident Evil, and I remember when this like game had first come out, it looked exactly like Resident Evil. A bunch of people were calling it like a rip off of it. So I just kind of wanted to check it out and experience it. I would give it like a solid 6.5 out of 10. It's not perfect, and there's some annoying parts, but I didn't feel like I wasted my time.
okay. Wait, so was it that the movie was based off a game or was it the game that was based off a movie?
So there actually never was a movie for this. They were thinking about coming out with a movie, but it got canceled.
Wait, wasn't there a movie called Resident Evil or am I
No, no, no,
confusing it with
no,
something?
no. So yes, yes, this game is like it's okay. This game is called Cold Fear. It has nothing to do with Resident Evil other than like it plays exactly like it.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. So these
Yes.
were okay. I just confused Cold Fear with Resident. When you mentioned Resident Evil, I'm like thinking like, oh,
Oh,
this is
okay.
Resident.
No,
Okay,
yeah, it's not. It plays exactly like Resident Evil. Um, it
okay,
kind
okay,
of
okay.
looks like it, but it's not a Resident Evil game. It's pretty much like someone tried to like copy everything.
Okay, okay. Man, that was kind of a short game though, only 8 hours.
Yeah, but I mean the game came out like yeah, I mean games are a lot longer now. I think this game came out in like 2004 or 2005. There were like these action games back then were a little bit shorter. But yes, this game was pretty short all things considered.
Yeah, I think it might just be one of those things where like we're so used to like, Assassin's Creed or like Battlefield, or Call of Duty, all these games that are like, tens of hours long and like, I think Assassin's Creed they try to do how long are the games? Like at least 20 to 70 hours or something like that.
At least like 30 to 70, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, something crazy. And like we've gotten so used to that. When you mention like 8 hours, it's just like, but I'm sure like 8 hours back in like 2004 or five or something was actually really long back then.
Yeah, well, I mean, like even like the latest Resident Evil, they came out with it earlier this year. It was only like 10 hours. I beat that in like 2 days. So,
Okay, okay,
but
okay.
I think they made it short on purpose because they wanted you to like replay it through it like multiple times because like every time you beat it, you would get like unlock something to make it easier
Oh, okay, okay,
to like
okay.
keep replaying it to try to beat it quicker or whatever. Yeah, but I just beat it once.
I guess like they were trying to do this to kind of like encourage speedrunners or something, those people who like
Honestly, that's
just
exactly what it seemed like they were trying to do with the newer one.
yeah.
Because they had
Um
like rewards too, like if you could beat it in this certain amount of time, or if you didn't die, you would get extra bonus stuff.
yeah, yeah, I think Yeah, I mean, like I guess it's not really surprising, like, cause like I remember like I had this one Tony Hawk Pro Skater game. I forget which year it was or which number it was, but it was just it, like it felt long at the time. One because like skating games, they're so hard to like figure out, man. It, Playing it, it's just like I gotta figure out the right combination, the right time to click it, the right area. I don't know. For me, it was like a tough game, so it took long because I was just. But like when looking at like as the progression of the game was going on, it was just like it was a pretty short game. But I'm
Yeah.
sure at the time it was like a really long game. But yeah, it was just one of those things where like the tricks that we had to do was taking me forever to perform, and like all of these like insane like tricks that we had to do was just like yeah, it took me a while, but yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, it was so much harder too, because like if you couldn't figure out how to do something, you couldn't just look up like a YouTube video. You would have to like look up like someone like describing in text how to do it, and you're like, what in the world are they talking about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean this game like yeah, it was but like it's like a lot of I do like the open world concepts in the newer games like Assassin's Creed and Spider-Man and everything. Like it's nice having that open world concept, even
I
though like a lot of things are kind of like the same across all those genres and stuff.
I think I pretty much universally hate almost anything that's open world.
Oh,
I
really?
get I there's some open world games that I really like,
Mhm.
but I get way too distracted, like with all the side missions and stuff that you don't have to do. I just feel like I have to complete it all,
Oh man.
and yeah, it's just too much. It ends up being too much.
Wait, so like do you complete all the side missions that you can up to that certain point?
Sometimes, and then other times, like right before I beat the game, I'll just be like, okay, I just need to beat every side mission now before I go to the final part. So
Yeah, I kind of sort of feel you with the side missions because it's like it's like once you finish the main mission of the game, like it's just yeah, I don't have like the incentive to go finish the side missions, man. And like the
yeah,
thing is
unless
like
you like, yeah, I mean, there's some games that like unless you like really enjoy it and you're like, I mean, I wish this game didn't end. You know what I mean?
yeah, I feel you like the Spider-Man game the side missions were I actually like enjoyed a lot of the side missions, but it was like after I finished the main mission like going back to doing the side mission was like just a struggle, but like there are some like really good side missions on Spider-Man that I want to go back and do, but it's just like man, once I finished the main mission, it was just like the motivation wasn't there, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's just kind of a weird thing. I'll probably eventually go back and do at least finish up the side missions. Maybe not like
my wife
um
beat all of them.
nice.
Yeah, she then she started playing they had like three DLCs, like I think each of them are like maybe like 6 hours, maybe max, maybe
Oh,
shorter.
each?
I don't know. I don't know how long they are. One of them maybe she beat in like 4 hours or something.
Oh, okay. Because like I think I got one of them. I think I got when I got it on the PlayStation Store, I made sure to get like the entire package as much as I can. So I feel like
Okay.
I have one or three of them or something. I'm not sure. I have to check, but yeah, that is something I'm gonna go check out eventually. But yeah, like I,
Yeah, it's
I,
just when there's so much for me to do, I just sometimes I get overwhelmed and don't feel like doing any of it, and then other times I'll just get stuck on the side missions, and there'll be like one that I can't beat because sometimes they make like side missions harder than like the actual main game. Like they're like make challenges out of stuff, and that just really annoys me.
yeah, definitely. Like yeah. But
Yep. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a nice short game to beat. So,
yeah, yeah, and
but yeah, I guess we should get into this episode.
okay.
So episode 6 for me was called The Beast Breaker.
Oh, okay. Wait, was that just the title Beastbreaker?
Yeah.
Okay, the episode title for me was completely different. The title for me was Desperate Situation, Beast Tamer Moji versus Luffy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Totally different
but
title.
yeah, the title. Well, it's not like Beast Tamer Moji versus Luffy. It was Beast Tamer Moji versus Luffy.
Oh, got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. So I guess I'll go ahead and start my summary.
yeah, good.
Yeah, so the episode opens with Luffy telling Zolo that he looks beat up, and as he's telling that, Zolo is like carrying the cage on his back that Luffy was in. Um, then Nami's telling Zolo that he should rest. He says he's fine except for his knee. Nami says he can't go on like this. Zolo says that he kind of, he has to, and he needs to finish what he started. Next scene, we just see Captain Buggy stating how dare they embarrass him and that he will have the last laugh and there's one man he can count on. Cut to a scene where Moji, the Beast Breaker, shows up and says he's ready to maul Zolo. And next scene, it cuts back to Zolo and he just collapses on the ground as he's dragging Luffy to a safe place. Luffy then notices while he's stuck in the cage that there's a dog standing there, and he sticks out his hand, and the dog bites it. And then Zolo just kind of like faints on the ground because he like gets really angry, and then it's just like he just can't put up with it and just like faints. And Nami all of a sudden shows up with a key to the cage, and she hands it to Luffy. And as Luffy's about to open it, the dog swallows the key. Then some older guy shows up and calls the dog by his name, Shushu, and then asks what he's doing and tells him to be good. The old guy takes Zolo to his house to sleep and says that any enemy of Buggy is a friend of his. We then find out that the dog isn't that old guy. I guess the old guy is kind of like the mayor of the town. But that the dog had belonged to the pet shop that's like right next to the mayor's house, and that he was a friend of the owner of the pet shop, so he takes care of the dog. He then says that the store manager has passed on, and that the dog stays by the store because it's his treasure and the only thing that he can remember his past owner by. All of a sudden, Moji, the Beast Breaker, shows up, and Luffy asks for the key back. Um, I guess from the dog, and then um, Luffy asks Moji who he is, and we find out that he's a man riding this huge beast. Like up until now, you don't really like you just like you see the beast, and then you see the guy. You don't really put two and two together that he's riding the beast. I didn't at least. Um,
Mm.
and then Luffy wants to know why he's wearing a costume because his hair he kind of looks like a bear like the way his hair is. Moji says that it's his hair, um, and Moji says that he will respect him and walks up to the dog and expresses that the dog will obey him. And as he says that, the dog bites his hand. The beast then breaks through the cage and sends Luffy flying like through a house. Then Moji and the Beast storm the store for food. Then Nami and the old man show up to where Luffy is, and they can't believe that he's okay. Luffy expresses that he is here to make Nami a part of his crew. And then we see like a flashback to Shushu and his previous owner, and like we see how close they were. Um, and uh, while that's happening, we see the beast breaking through the shop. Then we see next thing you know, we see Shushu bite the beast. Um, and throughout this flashbacks, we see that he's always been a tough dog, always trying to take on things that are bigger. Um, and then we find that um, the dog is, fighting for his previous owner, who has asked him to always look after the shop when he, I guess, was about to pass away. He had asked him that. Next scene, we see the shop in flames and Shushu's, crying, running out. Um, Luffy sees that Shushu is crying and is pissed. Um, Moji's walking away with the beast, and Luffy shows up and takes out the beast with the Gum Gum hammer. Then Moji cowers in fear and asks, how the hell did you do that? And Luffy expresses that he's eaten the Gum Gum fruit. Then Moji offers an apology and cowers in fear, and Luffy expresses that uh, damage will have to be done to him for how he's, treated the dog. And then he punches him and throws him to the ground. Um, Nami in the next scene says, um, is just, Luffy's nowhere to be found. And she's just saying, that's what pirates do. They're reckless. They don't care who they affect. As she's like looking at the house and how it's all destroyed, the pet store. And Luffy's then shows up with the dog food in his hand that the beast had kind of stolen from the shop, and he tosses it to the dog. Then Nami realizes that Luffy fought against the beast for the dog, and she's just like in shock. Um, the dog then walks away and kind of like thanks Luffy for it. Moji shows up to Buggy and then apologizes for failing him. Buggy, says, "I can't believe you couldn't, beat Zolo." And then, Moji mentions he's not talking about Zolo, but he's talking about Luffy. He's even more angry. Um, and then he says, "Get, get me my special Buggy balls." And then cut to the next scene. Nami says she's sorry for yelling at Luffy, and the mayor thanks him too. And uh, he says, that he's just not going to stand for this anymore, and he's gonna stand up to Buggy. And as he's saying that, the Buggy balls like blow through the town. They, blows the town to smithereens pretty much, including the mayor's house. Luffy emerges alive, or no, Luffy emerges. Zolo emerges alive from like the debris and says, he just kind of has a headache, and that it was one heck of an alarm clock. The mayor's even more pissed now and runs towards the battle as Nami tries to hold him back. Luffy expresses that he's using his heart instead of his head and that him and Zolo will protect him. Zolo says he's more worried about his reputation than his wounds. And once again, Luffy asks Nami to join up. She says she won't become a pirate, but she will become partners for a common cause. Then the mayor shows up and tells Buggy off and that he won't take any crap from him anymore. Uh, Buggy then calls him a loser, uh, and he says that he has guts, but he will not let him talk to him like that. And then we then see Buggy like hold him by the neck again. But then we see Luffy pull his arm apart from the neck. He like breaks it apart or whatever, and says he's going to clobber him as he promised. And then the episode ends.
Yeah, to be honest, this episode is it was content wise, it was very thick in content.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I guess I'll kind of go with mine. I guess there is one correction I need to make. This is something I didn't realize. I don't remember if I mentioned the chapter before. Like, I think I might have mentioned in the last episode that like the episode 5 was 9, 10. It was actually 9, 10, and 11 for the last episode. The reason why I wanted to mention that is because this episode in the manga chapters, it covers chapters 12, 13, and 14. So I guess like the last episode and this episode with all the content that's in, it's actually like they're covering three chapters worth in one episode or something. So yeah, so yeah, for this episode 6, it covers chapters 12, 13, and 14. So I'm guessing okay, I guess I'll ask you these questions at the end. But yeah, basically the episode pretty much similar. Like it opens where we were last left off. Explosion happened, and Zoro is still bleeding from his wound so much. He's carrying Luffy's cage by himself. And then Nami's kind of telling him, "Hey, you're bleeding a lot. You should probably take a rest." He's like, "No, I gotta take us out somewhere." And then the blood is just kind of splattering everywhere that it like fills up the screen. That they wanted to emphasize how much blood was coming out.
Hmm.
Um, and there's a bit of censorship right there because in the anime they just mention blood and stuff. In the manga, Nami's talking about how like his guts will come out or something, and then Zoro's like, if my guts come out, I'll just push them back in or something like that. So instead of saying or using guts, they just kept saying blood. So yeah, and similarly, yeah. So they carry Luffy's cage to a spot, and right where they like sit down the cage and lay for a second, they spot a dog. Luffy starts to mess with the dog a little bit, and when it like kind of like pokes when he pokes at the dog's nose, the dog attacks him, and and basically eventually like yeah he gets the dog off, and then Navi shows up, and then she says she tosses the key over to Luffy, and then she's like, I just want to make sure, I just want to repay you guys for saving my life back there, and then with this key, all debts are paid off, and I don't owe you guys a thing. And then yeah, so actually back at the roof where when Zoro was escaping, uh, Zoro actually asks Luffy who is this girl, and he actually mentioned that it's Nami or Navigator, something like that. So yeah, so basically Nami drops the key to Luffy, and as Luffy was about to take it, the dog comes and eats the key, and swallows the key, and then like Luffy, Zoro, Luffy, and Nami, they're all like shocked, and then Luffy starts strangling the dog, trying to tell it to, hey, spit it out, spit it out, spit it out, and then you see this one old guy come in, and he's like, hey, stop hurting Shushu. The name of the dog is Shushu, and then he says that he's the mayor of the town, and he was basically telling about how he came to feed the dog. He says the owner of the dog owns the pet store that they're in front of, and he mentions that like the owner died 3 months ago, and he says that Shushu is like a smart dog, and he knows that his owner probably is already dead, but he still guards it because it's his last. It basically has all his memories with the owner, so it's like his treasure. And Luffy, being the pirate that he is, valuing his straw hat the way he does, he's like, yeah, he kind of gets, the whole thing about um, how it's his treasure. And then while that conversation is going on, we hear like a growl in the background, and this growl, it's supposed to be the lion, right, that we saw earlier, but it sounds like something out of Jurassic Park, like like if it sounds like dinosaur, or like a pterodactyl or something is like screaming or something, but yeah, it's just a lion. So I thought that was pretty funny how like the sound that was. So yeah, we hear the growl, and then the mayor runs away saying, we have to get out of here. um oh yeah, I should mention that once the mayor kind of tells Luffy about like the dog and everything, he sees that Zoro is actually like really bleeding and stuff. So he actually takes him to his house. He says that he needs to go see a doctor, but Zoro tells him he just needs to sleep it off. So he lets him rest in his house. And so yeah, back here, he says the lion, yeah, he basically says he hears a growl, and the mayor says, oh no, that's Moji, and his lion. And so he runs away, and then Nami kind of chases after him, wondering like what's going on. And then you see this big lion and this guy over it, and you find out that the guy's name is Moji. He's the lion tamer, and the lion's name is Richie. And basically, Moji says he can tame any animal, and he basically tells the dog to shake his hand, but the dog bites him instead. And then he's like, okay, I don't want to like distract. I don't want to care about useless things or whatever. And then he has the lion attack Luffy's cage, and it breaks the cage and it basically kind of frees Luffy. And once Luffy is out in the open, the lion Richie he actually like hits Luffy like, and Luffy goes flying into a building, and then Richie the lion he's like very basically, Moji's like, okay, I guess that guy's dead now. One hit dead. All right, cool. And then, the lion, he kind of wants something to eat, and like, Moji's like, okay, sure, you can go grab something real quick. And then, they go, and then, yeah, they basically go back. When Luffy gets he lands on the other side of the building, and Luffy and it destroys the building, and Luffy gets up fine and uninjured, which kind of shocks Nami and the mirror. And then yeah, basically you go to back to the pet store and you see the dog try to guard the store, but the lion kept hitting the dog over and over. And the final thing we see is the lion hit the dog to where you see blood kind of splatter on the pet store sign. And then we see that like the store is on fire, and then Luffy sees that the store is on fire, and Luffy goes and confronts the Moji and Richie, Moji the tamer and Richie the lion walking away, and he says that like hey, I saw what you did. So then um, Moji tells the lion to attack him, but Luffy says he's not going to get beaten by a stupid lion or something, and then he uses a Gum Gum hammer to defeat the lion, and then Luffy tells Moji that he's a Gum Gum guy and he ate the Gum Gum fruit. And then Moji's like, "Oh, you have devil fruit powers." And then Moji then tries to apologize and stuff, but Luffy's like, "Oh, you don't have to apologize anymore. An apology is not going to bring back that dog's treasure." And then Luffy then smacks Moji, and you see this one shot, and they actually take the shot from the actual manga. Like they use that panel to show that effect in that. And it's actually something that we see in other episodes too. Like for instance, when Luffy kind of like tells Zoro that he's a rubber guy, and he smiles at the end of one of the episodes. So this is kind of similar to that. You see the panel where he smacks Moji in the face as he falls down. So yeah, they
Oh, that's
use
kind
that.
of cool. They like directly used the manga panel.
Yeah. They kind of use that to show the impact of the shot in it. But yeah, he basically does that. Smacks him and beats him. Back at the pet store, Nami and the mayor see the burnt down store. Nami kind of tells why she hates pirates, and then Luffy comes in with the box of treats that he recovered from the lion. And Nami, she was basically saying how she should like kill Luffy right now before he can gather a crew and like do pirate things. And Luffy says, and as Nami's like trying to attack Luffy, the mayor's trying to hold her back. And then Luffy basically kind of walks by her and says like, you're not, like, she couldn't kill him. Is either like she can't kill him, or like she doesn't have the ability to kill him or the strength to kill him. Basically, he basically doesn't see her as someone who can kill him. So then Luffy goes and sets the treat next to the dog and sit next to him and says this is all that he could recover from the lion, because the rest the lion either ate it or burnt down with the building. The dog then kind of takes the treat and starts to walk away and look back at Luffy. And like and then he just kind of barks at him, and then Luffy says good luck to you too. Then Nami comes in and apologizes to Luffy, saying that she thought like he was like those other pirates, but she's like, okay, I guess you're really not like those other pirates. And then the mayor talks about how the town was built like 40 years ago. Basically, they came to this island and it was just forests, and then they came and like built it from scratch, and it kind of like developed into this great town. Buggy finds out that Moji was defeated, and before Moji could tell Buggy that Luffy was a rubber man, he falls unconscious. He just barely says rub, and then he falls unconscious. And then Buggy tells his men to get another Buggy ball ready, and he blows another section of the town. Actually, Buggy thinks it's Zoro who actually defeated Luffy, but Moji tells him it's not Zoro who defeated him. It was actually Luffy. And then, yeah, before he could tell that Luffy was the person who defeated him, or that Luffy was a rubber man, uh, yeah, he knows that Luffy was the one who defeated him. Before Moji could tell Buggy that Luffy was a rubber man, he's just a rub, and then he felt unconscious. Buggy tells his men to get another Buggy ball ready, and then he blows another section of the town. And the mayor says that his house wasn't that section that got blown away, and this kind of worries Luffy since Zoro was resting in the mayor's house at the time. Zoro then kind of wakes up uninjured, and he says that's a hell of an alarm clock. And the mayor and Nami both kind of wonder how he's still alive. And the mayor kind of goes after Buggy because he's just kind of like fed up with like cowering. So he says he's going to go confront Buggy. And sorry. Okay. So yeah, just when Buggy was about to put off another Buggy bomb, like the mayor kind of just starts yelling at Buggy. Back with Zoro and Luffy and Nami, like Luffy says he started to really like that mayor, and he tells Nami, "Don't worry, the mayor's not gonna die." He says, "I like the mayor." So they both kind of get excited at the prospect of a fight or things just getting exciting. And then basically, the mayor says, "Hey, Buggy, come out here and fight." And then the Buggy tries to be like, Buggy's like, I'm just gonna, destroy your whole town and stuff. You're nothing." And like, and then he starts to like lift the mayor up with his arm, levitate him and choke him and stuff. And then he keeps talking about how he's going to like, kill him first and destroy the town. And then you see just Luffy then the grab like Buggy's hand and separate him from the mayor, and then that's basically where the episode ends.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I want to mention some of the differences between the manga and the anime. So when the mayor talks about how the town was built 40 years ago, in the anime they just kind of mention about how like uh, they came to this one town which is all a forest, and they built a town out of scratch. In the manga, they actually said that like all these people came from another town in another island, and that town was actually destroyed by pirates. So they escaped to this town, and they built this town from scratch. There was only a few people, and then over time, more and more people came in, and then this town kept growing to being like a really busy a port town. And they basically all did this from scratch. And so that was kind of the context. Like he was just fed up with, you know, being run away from one hometown to another, and then like building this place up from scratch, and then having to run away from this. So he just wasn't going to do that or something. So, and and then this was kind of like a bigger kind of like censorship thing that they did. So in the manga, like so when Moji tells Buggy that he was defeated, uh, Buggy's like, "Were you defeated by Zoro?" And then Moji says, "No, he was actually defeated by Luffy." And just as he was about to, basically, as he was falling unconscious, he's like, Luffy is a rub," and then he just falls unconscious, saying "rub," and then they're just like a rub, and then one of the other crew members is like, he must have defeated him using some kind of weird rub technique or something, and then Buggy's like, he got defeated by a masseuse or masseur. And then yeah, and then it pretty much picks up where like Buggy blows up. But uh yeah, those were two things I saw that was kind of censored.
Okay. So yeah,
Um
from what you were saying, it seemed like they did censor a whole bunch. Obviously, there is no blood at the beginning in my case.
okay.
So
Did you see blood when the lion was fighting the dog? Like
no, there is no blood there either.
okay, because like
But you see him like he hurts the dog, but there was no blood.
Oh, okay, okay. Because like in like the regular version, like yeah, the lion smacks the dog comes back, the lion smacks. It kind of goes back and forth, and we
Yeah,
finally see this one scene where the lion smacks the dog so hard that you see blood just kind of splatter on the pet store. So I guess it was supposed to be this ominous thing of like the lion finally killing the dog or something. But you know, obviously, it's not a thing where like characters die yet. So
yeah.
yeah,
I
I
bet
wasn't gonna
you
get to
like
that.
right into this. I guess like instead of showing that blood, it just showed like the next thing it shows is that store on fire. I think.
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Oh, one thing I did forget to mention the difference between the manga and the anime is that so like where Luffy defeats the lion with a Gum Gum hammer. So I guess for you, you said it was a Gum Gum hammer. In the Funimation dub, it was also Gum Gum hammer, and in the sub translation, it's also Gum Gum hammer. But in the manga translation, though, in the Shonen Jump manga translation, in the official Shonen Jump
Hmm.
translation, it's actually like Gum Gum Grabble or Gabble.
Oh, okay. Yeah, same
Yeah,
thing, just a different.
yeah. I thought it was that was just one slight change I wanted to mention. But yeah,
Ooh, so you're saying it's foreshadowing that later he's going to become a judge,
basically, yeah,
spin-off
yeah.
show where he
Like
just becomes a judge.
yeah. Although one thing was when I was rewatching this, there's actually something like when they mentioned that they were run out of town 40 years ago. So like there is I feel like this I don't know that if this town will be referenced in what's going on right now because in the uh in the manga and then the anime right now it'll probably be like maybe after the manga the a month after the anime restarts when they finally get up to this one certain scene, there's actually this incident that happens 40 years ago with like a certain group of pirates. And again, this is like stuff that's in like the 900s. Like we're currently in like chapter 980, I think. So all of this is happening around the 900 mark. Um, and there's these pirates from like 40 years ago that they mentioned. So I'm kind of wondering if they're going to mention if this is going to be like if this town that these citizens came from, if that town is going to be the town or something. So it was just something like that. When I was kind of reading this and I knowing what I know, I'm just like, oh, is this going to be important? Is this going to be like foreshadowing that we didn't see since the beginning?
Oh yeah.
Because he does that, man. Like it's insane how much stuff he shows in the beginning that you forget about, and then he references like so long after. That's probably the one thing I really love about this show is like all the foreshadowing that you overlook and then it's there.
Okay, well, as far as future episodes go, I just need to know one thing:
Yeah.
is the dog gonna show up again?
After this episode,
Yeah.
um if it I mean, I think it does for like a couple of seconds within this arc in a future episode. But besides that, I mean, I mean, no, no, no. I'm just gonna say no because
Oh
it's not gonna
man,
show up again. No.
that's the best thing, man. I was hoping the dog was gonna join their team. Actually, I knew that wasn't gonna happen, but I thought it would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, this dog doesn't join them. Oh, it would have been pretty cool if they did allow this dog to join the crew. But there's some other stuff. Yeah, they don't have to worry about this dog. But yeah, no, this dog doesn't. I guess this dog side plot is mainly about like the how valuable treasures are to a person, and it doesn't necessarily
Yeah.
have to be like jewels or something. You know, like Luffy, his treasure is his hat. Um, you know, this dog, his treasures are his like that pet store. For now, Zoro's treasures are his swords. I don't know what Zora's ultimate treasures are. For Nami, her treasure is all her treasure, like the actual jewels and stuff. So she, but the
Yeah,
mayor,
her
his treasure is like the town.
tangerines.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah. But wait, does in your version does she agree to join up with him?
Oh yeah, I did forget to mention. Yeah,
Okay.
basically, she does. Well, she says that she would never be a pirate, but she said she would come into like a partnership with Luffy and Zoro. So yeah,
Yeah, and also in mine, I don't ever. I mean, I could have skipped over it, but I don't ever remember her saying that she was gonna kill uh Luffy, and I don't ever remember Luffy saying that she could not. Maybe they cut that part out altogether, or the only
yeah.
part
I
I
mean,
remember was just her saying that pirates are reckless, and he wasn't even there when she was saying that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, this was like right after, like he was like walking back from beating Moji and Richie, the lion. He was coming back, and she was still pissed off at the burned off building. She basically yelled at Luffy, saying she should probably just kill him now before he gets a crew and starts to wreak havoc like these buggy pirates or something. So yeah, I mean, I don't know how they could have like did the Funimation dub. I guess like she could have said maybe I should beat you up right now,
Yeah, maybe.
or something. I don't
Yeah,
know because like
I don't
uh,
remember that part, that detail, but yeah.
yeah, it might have been definitely something that was cut off because I mean
But
she
also, I don't think. Also, like there was no even like hint that 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 Moji was dead.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like Moji's not dead. It's just he just like, falls unconscious like after he's like worn out after being defeated. He just kind of falls unconscious.
Being defeated from
Luffy.
no. When Moji comes back to talk to Buggy.
Oh, like he didn't fall unconscious for you?
Yes. Oh, I thought you were saying he was dead.
Oh no, no, no,
No.
no, no,
Okay.
no. No.
Okay. I got it. No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, no, Moji's
Okay.
actually pretty vital.
Got it. Got it. I thought you said he
Yeah,
died. For some odd reason, I thought you were saying that. Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Then same thing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, no. But yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. Like, I guess I could have said, but yeah, I guess maybe it was just to, I don't know if it's just to show Luffy's strength, but yeah, I mean, like Nami just was yelling at Luffy saying she should probably just kill him because she hated what pirates did and everything, and like, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
Yeah.
Luffy basically
So
tells her, "Hey, you can't kill me if you wanted to, or something like that, or
gotcha.
you're not
Yeah.
gonna kill me, or something." Yeah.
So it doesn't seem like there's too much different from this episode, other than the total removal of blood. And by them removing the blood, it seemed like he wasn't even hurt in the back; that he was just tired of. It seemed more like he was tired of carrying Luffy.
Okay, 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 okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like the thing is, like when Zoro reached the place where he dropped off Luffy's cage, he was like, yeah, he was angry at Luffy and the dog, telling them to kind of calm down. And then
Hmm.
as he was kind of like yelling at them, he's like, oh, losing too much blood, and then he just falls down and goes to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. He doesn't even mention losing too much blood.
yeah,
He
yeah,
just passes out.
yeah. But yeah, it was honestly, I was kind of like surprised at how much was in this episode content wise. Like, man, so much in just one, so much chapter material and all compressed into this one episode. I was kind of
Yeah.
surprised. I
Yeah.
guess early on it was paced pretty well, but like they caught up really quickly, I guess.
Then they added a whole bunch of filler.
Basically, I mean, like what I'm finding is that at the end of each arc, they add like a filler. I don't know that
Yeah.
they have added like, mid arc fillers just yet. Like so far, it's at the end of each filler. Like, I mean, on occasion they'll have like a festival episode, like where it's just like, some Japanese festival is going on, so they'll have like a special episode dedicated to that festival. Like, there's this one, I guess it's like a New Year's festival. They had like a special episode where with all the characters acting in some sort of like New Year's special kind of thing. So Like they'll have those kind of episodes, but like besides those, like actual like filler arcs, what I'm seeing is that it's usually at the end of each kind of big arc or big saga. Like they'll have like these like kind of a filler arc at the end of each. I guess just to give them time.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
Well,
it was a pretty big episode. I think I do think that the next episode and the following episode will probably be better paced than this episode. I don't think there will be as much content, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Could be wrong completely, but yeah, I think like the other ones aren't as packed as this episode was.
see. But yeah, next week we'll be covering episode 7. So we hope to
Yep.
have you guys back. We will see you then.
All right. Yep. Later.
All right. Bye.